Hey YouTube, how you doing? A few weeks ago I was looking to install Stable Diffusion on my computer, and I looked for videos that would help me install both version 1.5 and SDXL at the same time, and I couldn't find a video dedicated to that, so I decided to make my own. Now, if you're interested in doing that, the first thing that you need to do is the same thing I did, and that's find out if your computer is even capable of running Stable Diffusion. So the easiest way to do that is just let Windows tell us. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the Windows key and the R key on your keyboard, and we are going to type in CMD, hit enter. That's going to open us up to what's called the command prompt. And once we're in here, we're going to type in DXDIAG and hit enter. Going to wait for a few seconds. DirectX Diagnostic Tool is going to pop up, and up at the top here you're going to see some tabs, and you're going to click on Display 1. And now what that's going to do is that's going to give you the name of your graphics card, the model, and more importantly, the manufacturer of the chip that's on your graphics card. And what we really want for our purposes, we want NVIDIA. There's three big players. You have NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. And while you can get Stable Diffusion to run on the other two, it's not as straightforward as NVIDIA. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing on NVIDIA. So as long as your card, your manufacturer says NVIDIA, we're good to go. Now, the next thing we need to look at, scroll down here, and you're going to look at display memory VRAM. And ideally, you want that to be, this shows it in megabytes, we want this to be above 8,000 megabytes. If it's not, for example, if it's 6,000 or 4,000, you can still follow along, and the installation may still work for you. Then again, it may not, but you won't know unless you try. So what we want is basically anything above 8,000 here is going to be good. So once you've determined that you have an NVIDIA card and that your VRAM is above 8,000, or even if it's 6,000 or 4,000, you can still go along. Like I said, it's not guaranteed that it's going to work for you. Go ahead and click exit, and then in your command prompt window here, you can either type in exit and hit enter, or you could just have clicked the X button in the upper left up there. Okay, so now that we know that you have a GPU that's capable of running Stable Diffusion, the next step is to go ahead and install Stable Diffusion on your computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to link number 1 down there in the description. You're going to open that up in a browser. And that's going to take you to the GitHub page for Stable Diffusion. Once you're on the GitHub page, hit Control and F. That's going to open up a little search window. Then just type in the words automatic installation. And that's going to take you down here to the automatic installation on Windows. And this is where we're going to be working from. So what we want to do here, step number 1, we need to install Python. So what we can do is you're just going to right click on that, open it in a new tab. Now when you get on the Python page, go ahead and do your Control F again and just search for Windows Installer. Okay, and we're going to want the 64-bit, so we're going to go ahead and download that, click it in your downloads and save. All right, that's already downloaded. That was pretty quick. Now we're going to go and we're going to install Git. So right click on that, open new window, Git, and we want 64-bit for Windows setup. Go ahead and click on that, download as well. And that has downloaded. Okay, so now that both of those are downloaded, let's go back into Windows Explorer. And by the way, if you don't have a little Windows Explorer thing down here like I do, you can just hit Windows R and then type in Explorer. That'll open your Windows Explorer. go to your, for most people, your primary drive is going to be your C drive. So go to whatever your primary drive is. Mine happens to be C. And we're going to right click in any empty space, new folder. And I just call mine SD for Stable Diffusion. It's short, it's easy to remember. So go ahead and create a folder, name it whatever you want to name it. Mine's SD. Now we're going to go back to our downloads folder and we're going to find our files that we just downloaded, and we're going to double click the Python installer so that we can install Python. Click that. Now the most important thing here, this is really important. Down here it says add Python to path. Make sure you tick that box. If you don't tick the box, Python's not going to install in the way that we need it to be installed for what we're going to be doing with Stable Diffusion. So make sure you tick that box, then come up here and click install now. I can't do it because Python's already installed on my system. If I try and install it, I'm going to get an error right there. But you can go ahead and install Python, and once your Python has installed, just go ahead and close out of the box. Shouldn't take too long, probably about now. Now we're going to come back here and we're going to do the same thing with Git. Double click on Git. And I'm going to have the same situation because Git is already installed on my computer, so I can't install it. Go ahead and click the install button, and you're going to be presented with a lot of choices on the Git installation. Just go ahead and accept all of the defaults. Just click next, 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 all the way until you get completely done. At the very end, there's going to be a little tick box down there. It's going to say open README file. Just untick that and click finish, and you'll be done with that. Okay, so now we have both Python and Git installed. We're going to go back to our browser, to the GitHub page, and in step number 3, we're going to copy this little line of text right here all the way through the end of .git. Do not include the ending period there. And then once you have it highlighted, just right click and copy. Go back to Windows Explorer. Again, if your Windows Explorer is not open, Windows R, Explorer, enter. Okay, so we're back in Windows Explorer. We're going to go back to our primary drive. We're going to go back to the folder we created. Click into the top navigation bar, backspace, type in CMD. What that's going to do is it's going to open a command prompt. This command prompt is going to be tied to the directory that we just created, which is what we want. Where your cursor is blinking, just go ahead and right click with your mouse, and that line of text that you just copied is going to be pasted in there. Go ahead and hit enter. When you hit enter, it's going to clone and download the Git repository for the Stable Diffusion web UI, which is now on my computer. As you can see, go ahead and close out of here. Now we want to open this folder up, double click into it, and we're going to scroll down until we see webui-user.bat. And then what you want to do is go ahead and right click on that and choose edit. Now not everybody's going to have the edit option here. If you don't have edit, Windows R, and then type in Notepad. It's going to open Notepad, and then just drag this file into Notepad. What we're going to do is we're going to modify this line right here where our command line arguments are. So we're going to click in just after the equal sign, hit space, then we're going to do --xformers space -- auto launch, AUTOLAUNCH. And if your VRAM, back from when we tested your VRAM, if it was on the lower side, say 6 gig or 4 gig, you can do a space, then --med VRAM for probably 6 gig. And if you had less than 6 gig, like if you had 4, go ahead and do --low VRAM. Those will help Stable Diffusion run with systems that have lower VRAM on the GPU. Now, I don't need that. I've got 16 gigs, so I'm going to go ahead and take that out. And once your command line arguments are set, go ahead and click File, Save, and then close out of here. Now, we're getting really close to being done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to download what's known as the checkpoint models, which are the core. They give us the core functionality to Stable Diffusion. There's basically, you have the standard as it was back a month or so ago. Stable Diffusion's changing so quickly. You have your 1.5 checkpoint model, which is a very good model, but you also have the newer XL model, SDXL, and that's been refined a lot. You get a lot better images, better hands, better details out of that. What I like to do is I install both. I install the 1.5 and I install SDXL, and I can switch back and forth between the two of them to generate images and then see which image works best for the particular situation that I'm working in. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to download both checkpoint models, and we're going to do that right now. Okay, so look at link number 2 down there in the description and copy that link, and then go ahead and open it in a web browser. It's going to take you to Hugging Face, and we're going to scroll down here. This is going to be the 1.5 checkpoint, and we're going to look for the version 1.5 pruned.safetensors file. Click the little download icon next to it. Go ahead and download that to your computer. Just like that. Now this is a big file. This is a 7 gig file, so it's going to take a little bit to download here. And while that's downloading, let's go ahead and get the SDXL. So go ahead and go to your link number 3, click it, and we're going to scroll down here to the SDXL base 1.0.0.9 VAE safe tensors, and we're going to download that guy to your computer. Now this is also a huge file, 7 gigs. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while these download, because as you can see, it's going to take a little bit of time here. Okay, so we're almost done, just about there, and we're done. All right, let's go back to Windows Explorer, find our files that we just downloaded right here, and right here. I'm going to hold Shift and just left click, select them both. Then we're going to right click and cut. Now we're going to go back to our Stable Diffusion folder that we created, which is on your primary drive, SD. Go into the Stable Diffusion Web UI folder. Now we're going to click into Models and then Stable Diffusion. And right here where it says put Stable Diffusion checkpoints here, that's what we're going to do. Right click, paste. All right, we now have Stable Diffusion. It is set up. It is ready to run on our computer. Click back up here to your Stable Diffusion Web UI. Go down to the bottom. Remember this file, the webui-user.bat file that we modified before? Well, this time we're going to click on it again, but we're going to double click it and we're going to launch it. Now when we launch this, what it's going to do is it's going to launch Automatic 1111, which is our primary interface for interacting with Stable Diffusion. And being that this is the very first time that we're running it, it's going to download a lot of files. So I'm going to go ahead and double click this, and you'll see it's going to start downloading things here in just a second. Right now it's verifying the installation of Python, and it's updating it if it needs to be. It's installing Torch, and it's going to go through and it's going to install a lot of stuff. It's going to take it'll take anywhere from 10 minutes up to an hour, just depending on the speed of your computer, your internet connection, so forth and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and when the installation's done, I will be right back. All right, we're in the installation process here, and as you can see, the installing requirements for CodeFormer, it sat there for probably about 2 or 3 minutes on mine before it continued. You may see some stalls like that from time to time, and it looks like it's not doing anything or it's hung up. Just let it go. It'll continue. It's working in the background, and oh, there we go. We are done. We now have Automatic 1111 installed. We are ready to create our first image. Now up here in the top, this is where your checkpoint, your models are going to show. If I click down on here, we've got our SDXL model or our Stable Diffusion 1.5, and we can seamlessly, well, instantly switch back and forth between the two of these. So we can generate an image. I'm going to do 1.5 first. The model is loading right now. You can see up here at the top. Should be just, yep, there it is. Okay, and I'm going to do, let me see, a clown riding a duck down a city street. And I'm going to leave everything else here at its default. I'm just entering my prompt, what I want to see. Then you come over here and you click this big old generate button. Let's see what we get. That doesn't look a whole lot like a duck, but yeah, let's generate a new one. Well, okay. You know what? Okay, so here's a good, let's switch over to the SDXL model and see what it gives us. Sometimes, you know, one model will give you something that's not so great and the other model will do a lot better. So let's see what SDXL does. All right, so it gives us kind of a cartoonish look here. Let's do we'll do masterpiece there and see if we can't get a work of art. Can also do photorealistic. See if that makes a difference. Not much of a photo. Still looks like. All right, you know what? Let's do photograph best quality. All right, let's see what we get here. Now, if we keep getting fails, yeah, then we can come down here into the negative prompt and we can do things like cartoon, because we don't want to see a cartoon. We don't want to see a drawing. Let's just see if that makes any difference. Wow, that's pretty ugly stuff. Maybe my prompt is just not great. Let's see, what else can I do? What's a good prompt? Girl eating ice cream. Let's see what we get here. Okay, it's odd. It gave us a girl eating ice cream, but it kind of put her almost like on a canvas print hanging on a wall. So that's kind of unusual. Let's do oh, not masterpiece, photo realistic and best quality. Let's see what we can get here. Okay, it almost looks like it's pulling an image from National Geographic here, implementing that. All right, now here's the thing. These are the base models and base checkpoints. I'm going to show you a website that you can go to and you can download models that you can basically find a model that's fine-tuned to the type of images that you need to create, that you want to create. And that website is, oh, misspelled it, right here. I don't know how you say it. Excuse me. I've got Civet AI, so it's civetai.com, and then basically you click here on models, and you're going to, some of these may not be safe for work, so I'm not going to scroll down any further from here, but you can find models, for example, Juggernaut right here. This is a great model for SDXL, and as you can see, you can generate some really fantastic looking art with this, and all you do is you just go here, you download the model, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it straight into my Stable Diffusion models, Stable Diffusion folder with my other checkpoints here. Go ahead and download that. Let's see it. Oh, that's a big one. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and let that download. Then we're going to come back. We're going to revisit this. I'm going to regenerate those images and see what kind of a difference we get with a trained or a merged checkpoint model here. Okay, and while this model is downloading, I want to go ahead and show you a couple things here that will help you get better results when you're using a model like this. Normally, if you scroll down the page, you'll find some useful information down here. And for this particular model, here's some keywords that can give you better results in your generated images. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use we're going to use the cinematic and the skin details on our image, and we're going to see if we can't get it to look a little bit better. Okay, our download just finished. Now, since I stuck that in my Stable Diffusion models checkpoint directory, it's already there. All I have to do is hit this little refresh button. Now, when I do my my drop-down menu, it's going to appear. Here it is right here, Juggernaut XL. We're going to leave that same prompt in there, but we're just going to add, the keywords were, I can't remember what the keywords were. They were skin details and cinematic. All right, so we're going to add in cinematic and skin details. Going to regenerate and see what we get. Now look at that difference there between what we were getting before and what we have now. That's the difference in getting a checkpoint that's trained or merged. Sometimes they'll take a lot of different checkpoint, that's your models, and merge them together. Makes all the difference in the world. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. As you can see, there's a lot of options over here. There's a lot, and there's several tabs up here that do all kinds of other things. I'm going to be covering pretty much all of these in separate additional videos, but I just wanted to get you to the point where you were up and running with Stable Diffusion on your local computer, and you should be good to go at this point. All right, so that's about it right here. To switch back and forth between your models, of course, you just go up here to your drop down. You can go to your 1.5, your Stable Diffusion 1.5 base model, or your SDXL base model, or your Juggernaut, which is what we just downloaded. And as you can see, the difference is substantial when you're using a trained or a merged checkpoint. All these other options that you see here, feel free to play around with them. Now, one thing I will tell you, your image size, your width and your height, this is going to be dependent upon the GPU that's in your computer. If you don't have a lot of VRAM, you're going to need to leave these at the defaults, which are 512. Excuse me, my voice is getting a little bit hoarse here. Leave those at the default, which is 512. All these other things here I will cover in separate videos, and I will be doing that here shortly. So until that time, just play around, have some fun, and talk to you later. Adidas.